My name is Anouk, and this is podcast week 12, which means that this is the last podcast for my project. I feel a little sad that this is the last one because I had a lot of fun doing this project. But even fun things have to come to an end sometime. But even though I'm a little sad that this has come to an end, it's also kind of fun that I can finish my project now and hopefully graduate. Now last week I did an interview with Paul, who is an electronic producer from Holland who's been living in Berlin for a year now. Even though electronic music is not my field of expertise, it was really a lot of fun to interview him because he has a very down-to-earth view on the scene in Berlin. Here's a preview.
There's a reason that you always want to strive for something or someone or a certain sound or a certain skill to be able to create. So if you play guitar, for instance, you look up to Carlos Santana. If you make this kind of music, you look up to certain electronic artists. Knowing that there are so many people around who are interested in this stuff, it gives a sort of a relaxing feeling knowing that there's a reason why some of the people are that good in what they do.
Yeah.
So there's a reason that it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, and it takes years and years of development to come near to that group of elites.
Mm-hmm. If you want to listen to the 5-minute version of the interview with Paul, and I really recommend it, you can find it in the audio page. I've also been writing for the Simon story again, and even though this is the last time I'm going to update the story on the website, I'm definitely going to finish it. So make sure to check the website in a while to see where you can check the rest of the story. My friend Josh, who read parts of the story for my podcast in the past, asked me to make it extra juicy this time. And I did. So if you're under the category under 18 or faint-hearted, then you should stop the podcast right about here. If you're not, then you can read the full story in the story page, and Josh will read a preview for you in a second. But before that, to all the people who have listened to my podcast and checked out my website, thank you, and I hope you liked it. And, well, who knows, maybe we'll run into each other in the future. And now, Josh reading for you an extra long and extra juicy part of the Simon story. Bye-bye.
So, Max said, do you need to use the bathroom? I looked at him confused. He looked down, coughed, and smiled a little awkwardly. But when he looked back up to me, his eyes were smouldering. I could come in a few minutes, if you know what I mean. I did, and nodded before I lost my nerve. I got up, and while I walked to the bathroom, I realised I was far more drunk than I'd thought. Of course you're drunk, stupid. Otherwise you wouldn't be in this situation, I thought to myself. Not really needing to use the bathroom, I splashed some cold water on my face, in the hopes of soothing the now raging unease in my stomach. Max came in and walked towards me. He smiled, putting his right hand on my neck, pulled my head down towards his and kissed me roughly. When I closed my eyes I felt the room was starting to spin and a wave of nausea heaved up in the back of my throat. I snapped my eyes open and swallowed the sour taste back down without Max noticing. He released my lips for a moment and whispered, maybe we should go into the cubicle before somebody comes in. I stumbled after him into the claustrophobic cubicle with his moustache tickling against my neck. I had to force myself to keep my eyes open, to stop the room from spinning. He slid his hands under my shirt and pushed me against the tiled wall. I welcomed the cold sensation on my back. Stumbling a little, I pulled his hair to keep myself from falling over. He took this as a sign of passion, groaned and kissed me urgently and roughly again. When his hands found their way down to my fly, I closed my eyes. That was a mistake. The nausea rose up in my body, sending a hot flash through me, followed by a cold sweat. I weakly put my clammy hand over his, now busy undoing my belt, but he didn't stop. I couldn't find the energy to push him away, so I said with a weak voice, "Please, move over, I'm going to be sick." He looked up at my face to see if I was serious, and I must have looked as terrible as I felt, because he stepped away immediately, just in time for me to crouch over the toilet and vomit violently. I gripped the sides of the bowl for support and rested my sweaty cheek against the cold seat to catch my breath. I wasn't sure if Max was still there, but I didn't care. My stomach turned again, and I bent my head to throw up once more.